Between Batman and Spider-Man, if you gave them Mahoragas adaptation ability, who would benefit more from it? Now, I think this really depends on what way you think it would benefit for each of them. Because Batman deals with opponents that are closer in his level and have a lot less variety in how they tend to damage him. A lot of their methods rely on either blunt force damage, like punching him in the face, breaking his back, Bane. Sometimes they'll use slashing attacks like with swords, or chemicals like the likes of Scarecrow. So using Maharaga's adaptation would definitely allow him to adapt to those methods and deal with his rogues gallery a lot quicker. But if we're talking about getting the most use out of the ability, as in getting the most adaptations between them, I think that goes to Spider-Man. Mainly because his rogues gallery has a lot more variety, it has a lot more characters that tend to use elemental abilities, and sure, there are characters just like with Batman's gallery that use a lot of blunt force, chemicals, stuff like that. But then you think about the other abilities that his other rogues have that don't overlap with the rogues of Batman. Like, he gets zapped by Electro. He will gain an adaptation where he's immune to electricity. And if he gets stabbed by Scorpion, he'd gain an immunity to venoms and just hallucination stuff like that, and all those different types of chemicals. Then you got the default by gaining immunity to blunt force attacks, slashing attacks, you get the point. But if we expand this further, like beyond their own rogues gallery, then I think this changes again back to Batman. And the main reason why is his association with the Justice League and their villains. Because first off, if he were to hang around the Justice League and they were to know about this ability of his, I think they would try to train with him so that he would have, by default, immunities to all of their existing abilities. Whether Batman tells him that's happening or not, that's one thing. But if they are in on it, they use all their powers like one by one on him, which he should be able to survive as long as they don't immediately go for the killing shot. Like a planet-wide laser from Superman, for example, where he hasn't adapted, is just not going to survive. But if they work their way up, go through every power the Justice League has, and he gets to adapt all that, he's going to be good. And then any enemy they encounter that has different powers or abilities that don't overlap with the Justice League, he's already going to be immune to so much stuff that by the time that they do use new powers on him, he's already going to be in the works of adapting to those then. So much so that give him like a couple encounters with some top tier Justice League level villains, and he's going to be able to probably fight Darkseid 1v1 and win. It would look like the fight between Darkseid and Doomsday, but with a much more competent, adaptive fighter. And speaking of Doomsday, imagine a fight between a Mahoraga Batman and Doomsday in a 1v1. It would be a near endless fight. So, if they were just talking about the rogues, I'd say Spider-Man would get the most use. But if we're talking, like, all the missions they tend to go on over their respective comics and team-up missions, then it's definitely Batman. Hell, working with the Justice League, the dude damn near deals with god-level threats on a monthly basis. Hell, he'd probably adapt to the point where he could just show up with just his cowl on and just regular-ass street clothes and just be fine. He wouldn't need to bother wearing these highly advanced tech suits, because at some point he's going to be so durable, he'd probably be able to shrug off attacks that Superman would feel pain from.